let me begin with a story. The year is 1979. There's a young boy of 10 in a small town in Madhya Pradesh. This boy has got a chronic asthmatic condition which keeps him in and out of the hospital. This boy is shy, low on confidence. Academically, he is an average student who manages to get average grades. He probably does not have any aim or a vision except perhaps to remain healthy. So suppose this young boy was told by a fortune teller that one day you are going to become a dynamic military leader. Do you think that this boy would have ever believed him? Probably not. No one would have. Ladies and gentlemen, my conversation with you today is transformation of this young boy into a successful army officer. But before I do that, let me put forth a few statistics in front of you. Out of the total number of officers in the Indian Army, it is only 4% of the officers who reach the rank of a brigadier. It is about 1.2% who rise up to the rank of a major general. And it is only the best who will ever get to wear the rank of a lieutenant general. These statistics only reinforce the fact that in the army, we have a very steep pyramidal structure where only your merit counts. Ladies and gentlemen, this young boy is today a brigadier in the army. Was it fate, destiny, luck, or something else that he finds himself at this level? The fact that he has reached the top 4% echelons of the army, he has a happy and a loving family, and he is financially stable, perhaps, suggests that this young boy must have done something right at various inflection points in his life journey, which puts him in such a happy space. Ladies and gentlemen, this young boy is me. And this is my life story. I am 52 years old today, and at 52, the life appears to be very ordinary from where I stand. But let me assure you, the journey has been extraordinary and very fascinating. In the next 15 minutes or so, as I take you along my life journey, I'm going to focus on basically three things which can be attributed to my success. These are self-awareness, spirituality, and lots of luck. Coming to the first aspect, that is self-awareness. Now, ever since I can remember, I've always wanted to join the armed forces. And when young children, they want to become a doctor or an engineer or an astronaut or a fighter pilot, I've always wanted to be a soldier. Not only did the war stories of valor and sacrifice inspired me, but I was also attracted to the glamour, honor, and respect that was associated with the armed forces. Because I had seen this since my uncle was also in the army. And since then, I had wanted nothing else. It did not matter whether my health permitted it, whether I was psychologically fit, or I had the aptitude for this kind of a job. It was also my opportunity for once to play the hero in my life. Children's dreams have no boundaries, they say. Well, my dreams were also limitless. And I worked consciously towards achieving these dreams with a single point focus of joining the army. I appeared for the National Defense Entrance Examination. I cleared it. And subsequently, I also cleared the Services Selection Board interview. I would once again like to put forth a few statistics. This year, a total of 250,000 people appeared for the NDA entrance exam, and only 370 candidates finally made it to the National Defense Academy, that is 0.15, less than 0.15%. I'm glad that these figures were not available to me back then, because such statistics can be really scary and they can be demotivating at times. So coming back to my days in the academy, well, my performance in the National Defense Academy and the Indian Military Academy was average. And I did nothing spectacular because my health continued to trouble me. At that point of time, I was probably just content by achieving my childhood dream, that is, joining the army. And at that juncture, donning the olive greens was a validation of my struggle and of my capability. I may not have realized it at that point of time, but as I look back and reflect on the time that I spent in the academy, I realize that those 4 years of training were actually my journey into self-awareness. It was making the unconscious conscious. It is something which helped me to look inwards. And as I looked inwards, it awakened me and I managed to achieve my childhood dream. So what is making unconscious conscious? Well, it is nothing but being self-aware or knowing yourself. And self-awareness is thus how clearly you see yourself and how accurately you understand how others see you. It is thus a process of self-exploration. And this process of self-awareness actually is a never-ending process because you never truly know yourself completely. And as you embark on your respective life journeys, at various points in your life, there will be instances when you will feel the necessity to change, to invent yourself, reinvent, and evolve in the process. This ability to evolve is extremely important in order to stay relevant, or in other words, to preserve yourself. And a person who is self-aware will find it easier to adapt to this change. Transformation, as we all understand, is a continuous process. And depending upon how well you are able to embrace change and adapt new skills will determine how much you achieve and how much you succeed in life, whether it is on the professional front, personal front, or spiritual front. Let me very briefly touch upon how my journey from unconsciousness to consciousness helped me to actually understand my shortcomings and how did I overcome some of these limitations. It will also give you an insight into my process of inventing and reinventing myself. One of the first limitations which I had identified and which I have stated was, of course, my poor health and my poor physical standards. Well, I really worked hard on these two limitations and I supplemented it by yoga and meditation. I also, at that point of time, volunteered for the Army Physical Training course, knowing fully well that not doing well on the course meant humiliation on one hand, whereas if I were to do well, then it would be an affirmation of my hard work and perseverance. Well, the same was validated when I stood second on the Army Physical Training course in the year 1995. It was a very grueling course, let me tell you. I may have done well on this course, however, I was still very weak at running, and this is something which always bothered me. In subsequent years, I worked hard on this aspect as well. And today, at 52, it is with some amount of pride and satisfaction I can state that I'm able to run about 10 to 15 kilometers at a fairly good speed. It may not be a marathon, but for me it was no less. And it was a personal victory which I enjoyed very much. The next challenge was competing academically with my peers. And as I have stated earlier, I was a very average student. Now, in order to stay relevant in the army, it is extremely important to excel at various professional courses. And once again, let me tell the audience that in the army we have a number of such courses. Most of them are graded and all of them are always linked to your professional growth. Due to hard work and only hard work, I cleared most of the mandatory and competitive courses, which some of my peers, probably more competent than me, were not able to do and were thus left behind. I soon realized that I was now at that stage of my career where I needed to stand out. I needed to be unique, have my own unique selling proposition, and create my own brand identity. 90s was an era when information technology was also making inroads into the army. I explored this new field, became an expert, and I proved my mettle by writing a number of programs for the army and also executing a number of projects in the information technology domain. As the years passed, I soon realized that in the field of information technology, one tends to get outdated very fast. I also realized that in order to remain relevant, I had to reinvent myself, because by then I had become a senior officer. And as a senior officer, I was supposed to know about tactics, strategy, and warfare. The young officers look up to the senior officers for their guidance, for their knowledge, for their views, and for their expertise on matters military. I therefore metamorphed myself into a scholar warrior, and I started reading voraciously, and I also started writing. I authored a number of research papers, essays, and articles which got appreciation, and some of which were also published. I'm very happy to share with the audience today that the Chief of Army Staff himself recognized my effort and awarded me 5 times for my writing skills and my professional acumen. Which brings me to the next part of my talk, which is spirituality. Now, self-awareness helps you to build inner peace, which is what makes you more spiritual. So if you are spiritually inclined and if you are self-awareness, so does it mean that you get detached and leave everything to fate and destiny? Well, my answer is an emphatic no. Some people also state that it is your fate and your destiny which will decide what happens to you and where does your life take you. Well, once again, I feel a little differently. So what is spirituality? And what is its connect to fate and to destiny? Fate, I feel, can only determine your past, because there's nothing that we can do about the past. Fate, to some extent, can also determine your present, because we are already living in it at the moment. However, fate cannot determine your future, because future is a space of infinite possibilities. It's an imaginative space. And while your memory can take you to the past and your 5 senses can help you to perceive the present, it is only your imagination and your conviction with which you can manufacture your future. And therefore, fate and destiny has got no bearing on future. In fact, destiny is what you make of it. And if I have to define destiny, I would probably say that it is a measure of your capability to harness the creative energies of the universe. And for me, spirituality is cultivating a healthy respect for this creative energy of the universe. In a spiritual context, the notion of abundance is less about material things and more about appreciation of life for its fullness, for its purposefulness, the joys of life, and the strength of mind, body, and soul. It is my personal experience that if you have the right amount of spiritual quotient, then you will attract good people, their blessings, positive energy, and luck. Luck also, therefore, is a manifestation of 3 things: your self-awareness, your level of consciousness, and your spiritual quotient. Which brings me to the last aspect of today's talk, which is luck. What is luck? A military leader has to be always lucky for his troops. What does this mean? Well, for me, it has always meant no death, no accident, and no untoward incidents in my units on my watch. It would also mean that my unit or my brigade is doing well, and it is being recognized for its professionalism and good work. Recognition is important because many a times your hard work goes unnoticed, or sometimes, despite your hard work, something goes wrong at the last moment. Whether it is because of my positive affirmations or my subconscious messages to the universe, my spiritual quotient, or something else, I have to admit that I have been extremely lucky for my troops. And this singular factor gives me tremendous amount of satisfaction as I reflect upon my 3 decades plus service to the nation. And I dare say that if I was given an opportunity to command my unit or my brigade once again, I don't think I will do anything differently, including the mistakes that I've made. Because it's a package deal, which is what makes you lucky. In the end, to all the young doctors here in this hall, each one of you is special. And each one of you is destined for lots of success, earn lots of money, and generally be happy in life. All that you need to remember is that from where you stand, the universe extends to infinity, and it offers you infinite opportunities as you embark upon your life journeys. Your aspirations and your perseverance will pay off. And I'm sanguine that each one of you will meet a perfect life coach along the journey to self-awareness. And each one of you will learn how to make the unconscious conscious. And in the end, I bless each one of you that you will have inspiring stories to share. Jai Hind and thank you.